Hello everyone, and welcome to episode one of Career in Finance series, where we will be talking to alumni of our Finbridge and Fintrust program. Here, they would be talking about their journey, how they cracked the industry, how they've scaled up their career, and we hope through this series, all the viewers are able to understand the right way to build a career in both finance and investment industry in India. With this, let me introduce you to our first guest, Mohammed Patel. He is an alumni of our, I think, first batch of Finbridge 17 program. Uh, Post his 18 months of classroom training, then he went for industrial training. At the age of 19, I think probably he would be one of the youngest financial analysts in the country at that point of time. Uh, During his industrial training, he worked for around approximately 2 years as a equity research analyst at Blue Banyan Investment Advisors. From there, he went on to Care Portfolio Management firm, where he worked for approximately 2 to 3.5, 3 years. Then today, he's working as a equity analyst at Edelweiss Public Alternatives Investment Fund. So with that introduction, let's start, Mohammed. So if I can ask you one very simple, plain vanilla question first of all. Can you help people understand the work that is involved, the broad work of a equity research analyst or a equity research associate that goes around in a mutual fund or a portfolio management company or an alternative investment fund?
Yeah. So thank you, sir, for inviting me, and thank you so much for the introduction. So currently I'm working as a buy side equity research analyst, and I've been into buy side throughout my journey. So
Okay.
just before I help you understand what I do, so how the buy side setup looks like. So be it a PMS mutual fund or an AIF, so you have a CIO who takes the final decision of what is supposed to be bought, sold, or hold, and then he is supported by a layer of fund managers, and then there is a layer of research analysts, and usually this research analysts are divided based on sectors, and each of the
Okay.
analysts will leverage its sector understanding to add value to the research team and recommend the investment decision. So if
Okay.
I were to tell you how my day looks like, so
So
the day start, yeah,
if I summarize the structure, there is owner of the fund, that's the CIO, the main guy who will take the final decision
correct,
whether you want to invest money or not. Correct? Then there would be the fund manager, and then there would be research analyst and research associate. Okay. So what is the role of the fund manager in the ecosystem?
so the fund manager is he's basically he will be taking care of how the research analysts are supposed to work, and
Okay.
how he has to collate the work of the research analyst and then present it to the CI.
Okay. And the research analyst associates then will do the research as per the guidelines of the fund manager.
Correct. Correct.
So every fund manager would have a different type of research work. So every company would do research in their own way. Am I correct?
Correct. Correct. Every company will do the research and its own.
Okay. All right. Continue.
Some companies will not have sector analyst also. So some companies
Okay.
would be, if they are small in size, then there will be sector agnostic analyst.
Okay.
With one analyst could work for multiple sectors. But usually in
Okay.
a large setup, you will be having multiple analysts dedicated to particular sectors.
Okay. So what does an analyst or an associate do?
So a day usually in this industry starts with a morning meeting where we share the updates on the portfolio companies, or what's the impact of any news or corporate announcement on our holdings, which has happened
Okay.
after we left the office, and the time we joined the office in the next day.
Okay.
And throughout the week, we usually one of us would be presenting a detailed research idea with the team, and we'll all will be discussing the idea, brainstorming ev- over the idea. And if after the discussion, there'll be questions from the team. Then if we feel it's worth our time, we'll be meeting the management of that
Okay.
company, and then try to conclude the questions and then finalize the investment decision. And
Okay.
apart from this, then there is a earnings season which happens every
Okay.
quarter, where we track
Okay.
quarterly results of all our holding companies, and
Okay.
whatever the core focus here is that our thesis is intact on. So the reason for the reason which we bought is that reason still holding up, or that has changed? Something went
Okay.
wrong in our decision, or something went wrong because of some management action. So the quarterly calls adds a lot of value to our existing holdings, and
Okay.
obviously the companies which are in our watch list.
Okay. So basically, you guys conduct research on businesses where you think the fund that your CIO and fund managers manage, the AUM, that can be finally invested.
Correct,
Whether they would actually buy that business or not, that depends on the call of the CIO or the fund manager.
correct, correct.
Okay. So let's imagine, just to take our listeners deep right into your work profile. So let's imagine you identify a good business that you think will come on to your investment philosophy and your way of identifying businesses later. But cutting short right now, let's imagine you are studying a good business. Now you want to meet the management of the firm, as you said, correct? Now, this management may be promoters of firms which have a market cap of 500 crore to 1 lakh crore, correct? So,
Correct.
what's your process of approaching the management? Like, how does a research analyst talks to a management about his own business, which the promoter has been running for decades?
So one very important thing to highlight here is that they also respect the investor community, because
Okay,
in the end they know that if they have to run a successful company, they have to take care of all the stakeholders, be it customers, be it suppliers, be it vendors, be it shareholders,
okay,
investors. So they respect the investor community a lot, and
okay,
they they know that we study multiple companies over our life, over our experience, over our corporate
okay,
life. So we have a multidisciplinary or multidimensional view of multiple companies, multiple sectors,
okay,
and we are doing it on a day-to-day basis. So
okay,
if the questions that we put up to them are not generic, and we have done our hard work to approach them, then they are
okay.
equally interested to answer those questions, and they are happy to address the questions, and they also learn from us. It is not
Ah,
that we learn from them.
okay,
A lot of questions sometimes force them also to think that, you know, I think, yeah,
okay.
this are the right direction. So if you have done your hard work, if your quality of questions is good, then they are more than happy to entertain you and respect you, learn from you, just so open.
This is a fascinating insight. So I hope everyone of you is watching today. Uh, you would be now clear with what is the exact role of a equity research analyst or an associate. All right. Thank you so much, Mohammed, for answering it with so much of patience.
Yeah, likewise.
Now, let me move to a more interesting question. Right now, you have been a participant in the fund management, portfolio management industry for like almost 6.5 years now, right? So you have been studying businesses day in, day out. So as per you, what are the most exciting and challenging part of this profession or this career? Because today every second guy wants to enter finance. Stock market is a, as per Google search also, it's a wide word. A lot of people are googling it, but everyone knows broad output, but no one knows the core, exciting and challenging parts of this career. If you can, speak something about that, it would help the entire community a lot.
Yeah. So to understand the exciting part of the career, we need to understand the difference between the investor and the promoter. So the promoter
Oh,
spends majority of his life on one or two or three businesses to grow it, whereas the investor has the opportunity to invest in multiple business for multiple period of time. So
okay,
it becomes exciting as to get a chance to, understand different business models across pharma, FMCG, chemical, IT, cap goods. So if you are studying a pharma company, you need to understand how the medicines are produced, what is API, what is formulation. So
okay,
how's the geopolitical environment shaping? What is CDMO? What is NCE?
okay,
So
okay,
these are the terminologies which you have to understand before studying a pharma company. So there's a whole value chain in the pharma,
okay,
right from the intermediate to API to formulation,
okay,
and then There could
Okay.
be a branded product, a generic product,
Yeah.
domestic
Okay.
focused company, US focused company, ROW focused company. So
Okay.
you learn a lot of this, and then obviously the point that you touched earlier, you get to chance to interact with the CEOs of many companies. You can do the
Okay.
plant visits to understand the product better. You do the channel checks to verify what the management is saying versus what is the
Okay.
reality on the ground. So
Okay.
these are the exciting part of the career, but the
So,
challenging part, yeah, sorry.
so if I summarize, you are trying to communicate कि एक investor एक multiple promoter की तरह उसको अलग अलग businesses पढ़ने का मौका मिलता है.
Correct.
वो सीमेंट पे भी अपनी अंडरस्टैंडिंग बनाएगा, फार्मा पे भी बनाएगा, केमिकल पे भी बनाएगा, स्टील पे भी बनाएगा. बेसिकली यू कैन बिकम प्रमोटर ऑफ एनी कंपनी जहां पे आपको लगता है आने वाले टाइम के अंदर ग्रोथ आएगा. दैट इज व्हाट एन इन्वेस्टर डज.
हाँ, you
सो
can
यू आर नॉट. या सर.
you can partner Mr. Mukesh Ambani.
ओके. ऑलराइट. ठीक है. फेयर वे टू पुट इट. And you also said something like channel checks in between. Okay, that is also exciting part. What exactly is channel check?
So I'll tell you one real example.
Yeah.
So when I was studying a good panel company, I
Okay.
was struggling to understand what MDF is. When I was reading the annual reports or the investor presentations,
What what
what
what
what
is
is
MDF
MDF?
is?
Medium
Okay.
density fiber board. What is MDF?
Okay. Okay.
So it was a challenge. You know what exactly is it is used for. So what I did is I went to an interior designer,
Okay.
uh, which then connected me to a carpenter, and
Okay.
then the carpenter explained to me what exactly MDF is and why a plywood is a different application, why MDF is a different application. So the carpenter said MDF is for beautification and
Okay.
plywood is for strength.
Okay.
So
So it
whenever you have to
okay.
mold the furniture, mold the wood, you
Okay.
have to use MDF, you have to beautify it, but you
Okay.
need strength, you need the plywood. And the second most major application of MDF is the ready-made furniture,
Okay.
because it's very standard in size and made on very good machines. It
Okay.
is very easily input to the ready-made furniture.
Okay.
So
So
this
एक
is
एक
one example.
एक इक्विटी रिसर्च एनालिस्ट एसोसिएट को ऑन ग्राउंड जाके भी बिजनेसेस का इतना आइडिया लेना पड़ता है.
Yes, definitely.
ओके. दैट्स मेक्स इट एक्साइटिंग. ऑलराइट. सो मतलब इसका
I
मतलब
would
तो ये होगा.
I would like to add one thing here. So अब जब कारपेंटर के पास जाओगे तब आपको पता चलेगा कि why the carpenter is choosing green ply over century over rustic, and in
ओके.
which geography, because you have to
कॉम्पिटिटिव.
understand who is the decision maker. In the wood
ओके.
panel industry, the carpenter and the interior designer is the decision maker.
ओके.
उनके दिमाग में कौन सी कंपनी टॉप ऑफ द माइंड है, that is the company which will be succeeding.
सो बॉस, एक इक्विटी रिसर्च एनालिस्ट एसोसिएट का नॉलेज बेस फिर कितना वाइड होता होगा, बिकॉज उसे ऐसे मल्टीपल सेक्टर्स के बारे में डेप्थ में पता होता है. सो नाउ आई अंडरस्टैंड कि व्हाई एज इक्विटी रिसर्च एनालिस्ट बिकम गुड इन देयर करियर, वो जाके क्यों अच्छी कंपनीज के अंदर प्रमोटर भी बन जाते, बिकॉज यू हैव आइडिया अबाउट ऑल द मेजर बिजनेसेस गोइंग अराउंड.
Definitely.
ओके. एंड व्हाट्स द चैलेंजिंग पार्ट?
So challenging part is, so there are more than 5,000 listed companies, but
ओनली
you have
लिस्टेड.
only listed
खाली लिस्टेड BSE NSE पे.
BSc plus NSc. India
ओके.
India listed,
ओके.
and you have limited time. You have 7 days. You have 24 hours. So you
करेक्ट.
have to first choose which company to spend your time on,
ओके.
and in that, how much time on that company.
ओके. So if I simplify it for non-finance people right now, कि खाली listed companies 5,000 है.
Yes.
And investing can be done across the board. Startup, medium-sized company,
Yes.
listed company.
Yes.
So just listed companies are 5,000.
Yes.
So you need to have a very strong rejection filter. कि इस
Correct.
तरह एक business तो मैं ज्यादा पढ़ता ही नहीं.
Correct.
Okay, fair enough. And then,
So if there is a fund, let's say if there is a mutual fund who has lakhs of crores of public money,
correct.
they will only invest in the top 1,000 companies. So because
Okay.
the minimum investment amount that they can invest in a company will be 50, 100 crores. You
Okay.
cannot invest in a company which is beyond top 1,000, which might have a market cap of less than 5,000 crore, less than
Okay.
4,000 crore. So
Okay.
then, if it's a mutual fund, then it's only top 1,000 companies. But
Okay.
if you are as an individual investor, you have the whole ocean out there.
Must. Okay. So that makes it struggling. बहुत मेहनत का काम है यार, मतलब you keep on
Yes,
reading about businesses being day out.
correct.
Okay. Okay, fair enough. So now, Mohammed, what I would like to do is, so I hope everyone who is listening to our session now is very clear, first of all, that equity research or portfolio management is one of the domains of core finance industry. So at least I hope आप सबको अभी ये clear हुआ हो कि equity research portfolio management के लिए exactly काम क्या होता है. Now let me take our communication further. I would like to divide our communication now into two parts. Okay. Part one, let me focus on your career builder. Correct. ताकि जो स्टूडेंट कम्युनिटी है उसको हेल्प मिले फाइनेंस में एक अच्छा करियर एस्टैब्लिश करियर कैसे बनाना. देन पार्ट टू ऑफ आवर डिस्कशन आई वुड लाइक टू टेक टुवर्ड्स मोहम्मद एज एन इन्वेस्टर. करेक्ट. सो दैट इन्वेस्टिंग कम्युनिटी को आपका थॉट प्रोसेस, आपका वे ऑफ वर्किंग डीप में जानने को मिले. ऑलराइट. सो लेट्स स्टार्ट विद द फर्स्ट पार्ट about your career. So I think after your 12th, right, when you completed your 12th, you decided that you want to make a career in finance. So 12th में generally एक बच्चा 17 साल के लगभग का होता है, right, at such a young age. What gave you clarity कि finance is something where you would like to make your career?
So, कोई fancy story नहीं है.
Yeah.
So, if when I was in my 11th standard, I
Yeah.
was actually, fascinated by coding, computers, but
Coding,
I coding and
2017.
no,
Okay.
I'm saying 2016,
16. Coding. Okay.
2016, when I was in my 11th standard.
Okay.
So I was fascinated by coding, computers, but at that time I did not have a proper guidance as to
Okay.
how should I build my career in coding, how should I
Okay.
build my career in computers.
Okay.
And at that same time, one of the faculty from Finnacle visited my
Okay.
school, and
Okay. Better.
it was a career counseling seminar, I
Okay.
remember, where they explained.
By the way, we still do. We visit approximately 40, 50 schools and colleges in Mumbai and Surat, respectively, in the entire region. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I'm very lucky that I was present on that day
Yeah,
in school.
I'm glad. Yeah. Let's continue. So you heard us.
Yeah. So I heard the faculty, and
Yeah.
they. So at that time, that CFA was the first time I heard that something like CFA,
Okay.
and I also understood they are having a Finbridge course, a
Okay.
Finbridge program, which was very dynamic and very practical in the nature.
Okay.
So that was always in my mind. And then after I cleared my 12th standard, I started evaluating all the options that were available.
Uh,
I went to Finnacle.
uh,
I, had the career counseling again. And then I was convinced enough that as compared to other alternatives that I have, I found this the most dynamic in
okay.
nature.
Okay.
And I thought that this could be the right thing for me. And at that time, CFA was, you were supposed to do the CFA when you were in the third year of your graduation.
In
And the
2000.
Finbridge, yeah.
Yeah.
And in Finbridge, it was a 2-year program, 18
Yeah.
months program.
Yeah.
So the most interesting part for me was that I was able to leverage the 2 years, which
Correct.
otherwise I would have not been able to.
Okay.
And
Correct.
hence I would learn good things in Finbridge
Okay.
with my college. And as soon as I complete my Finbridge, I'll be able to pursue CFA also.
Okay. Okay. So if you can help everyone understand, you have used Finbridge was dynamic and practical in nature multiple times, correct? So what did you learn in Finbridge program and how was it exactly dynamic and practical? If you can help someone understand that. And just for our viewers, Finbridge program has basically two legs. Leg one is classroom training, where you go for 18 months of classroom training. Then you go for your corporate training, which is for around 9 to 12 months. So that's the broad structure. Yes, over to you, Mohammed.
Just before I start, so Finbridge has evolved a lot after I have completed it. So the things that I have learned could be different from what is offered today, much better today. So when I studied Finbridge, the first year was world economy. You
Yeah,
would understand the macros,
yeah,
how the world works, what is interest rate, what is Fed, what is RBI, repo rate. And then we used to understand what is personal finance, in which, we used to learn how to analyze a mutual fund, how to do the retirement planning. We also
correct,
understood, we had a program called Tech Edge, where we used to
correct.
understand how to operate Excel, PowerPoint, and, use it in an efficient way.
Yeah,
That
I
was the
think
first year.
at that point of time, I think VBA and macros were also there
Yes,
in
VBA
Tech
and
Edge.
macro. And we were very fascinated at that time by using VBAs,
Yes.
which an AI is doing at a click now.
Yeah.
So that was the first year. First year was like building the foundation of
Yeah.
finance, making
Yeah.
us ready for the second year. Second
Correct.
year was the most important from an industry point of view, or real work life importance, because
Yeah.
whatever we learn in the second year is
Yeah.
something which we are going to utilize throughout our life still this day.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that focused on business analysis, financial statement analysis, and valuation. So we
Okay.
understood how to judge a business, how to
Okay.
connect it to the numbers, and then
Okay.
how to come out with a fair value for a company.
Okay.
And then
Okay.
throughout this, we were given a live project to
Okay.
apply all the three things: business analysis, financial statement analysis, and valuation. And
Okay.
then we use that report in our industrial training interface.
Okay. Okay. So just to help everyone understand, I think at that point of time, you were supposed to, because I remember our sessions at that point of time, a lot of book reading and current awareness reading was also part of your Finbridge, correct?
Yes.
Uh, so as you said, like you guys did one project, correct, at that point of time. Today, a candidate has to go through 11 layers of project to clear Finbridge programs. And hence, I said in the beginning, it is one of the most rigorous, toughest program to clear as of date today. But all right, I understood. I hope everyone understands, what Mohammed did. All right, okay. Now, so your journey into Finbridge, right? Uh, I know because I was your teacher, but for everyone I know it would have been very rigorous. So because it is done in parallel with your BCom, BBA, pass any undergraduation, correct? So आपने undergraduation के साथ Finbridge manage किया, and I am proud to say that Mohammed cleared Finbridge in one shot, correct? And in that match, I think he was among the toppers of the program. If my memory serves me right, it is eight years, I think, today. But so how did you manage to excel both in your undergraduation and Finbridge program, which requires significant commitment?
See, I remember my college days. So
Yeah,
I used to wake up at 7 a.m., go to college till noon.
yeah,
And at that time, Finbridge was around 4 p.m., 4 to 6,
oh,
4 to 7 p.m.
yeah,
So then I used to go to Finacle, and whatever homework I was supposed to do before joining the Finbridge,
yeah.
I went to the institute and was doing
Uh,
it there. And then
a
again,
whole
I
homework as in application into
application,
projects. Okay,
correct.
okay, okay,
Application of whatever was learned on that day, and memorizing in that sense that I know the concept really well, or I have to ask it out to you again in
okay,
that one.
okay,
Then I used to go to the library, and then again the cycle all kept on repeating till I cleared Finbridge.
okay.
So the point I want to convey here is that if you allocate your time judiciously, that आपको इतना time Finbridge को देना है, आपको इतना time college को देना है, and the good part is that whenever you have your college exams,
Yeah,
you were supposed to get a break for your Finbridge,
okay,
and always, there are mentors ready to help you whenever you are stuck. You can approach your college, you can approach your Finacle mentors, so that they'll be helping you if you're struggling anywhere. So if you are self-motivated, curious, you are allocating your time properly, then and you love reading, you love numbers, I think clearing shouldn't be a
So broadly speaking, how much hours you used to put in daily, combining undergraduate and Finacle?
college plus Finacle
If
plus
you can say, uh,
own
if you
time.
can segregate
Minimum
college
10 hours.
studies with an
Minimum 10
application,
hours.
minimum 10 hours a day.
Including the
Okay.
college and Finacle classes. 10.
And how much of this used to go to college and how much used to go to Finacle?
Finacle was 3, college was 4.
Yeah.
Personal time spent on, you know, sharpening the concepts would be 2 hours, 1 to 2 hours a day.
Okay. So consistent 19 hours of effort
Yes,
for 18 months.
for 18 months.
Okay. So, so when you cleared your project works and you cleared your program, correct? Then the D-Day would have come regarding the campus placements, correct?
Correct.
So again, for everyone who is hearing about Finbridge for the first time, so basically, once the classroom training is done by a candidate, you need minimum of 60% or above in the project works to clear the program. And again, as I said, it's a very rigorous program. Only 20 to 25% of the candidates are able to clear the program. If you clear the program, then the campus placement committee comes and your interview process starts for industrial training, correct? And it is not a free industrial training, everyone. Our graduates are paid one of the highest stipends in the market today. But you go for industrial training of 9 to 12 months, then into a full-time role. So if I come to this section, Mohammed, right? How was your experience as a 19-year-old, correct? You are sitting to interview in front of a fund manager, senior analyst, associates, correct? Who are already managing, let's say, 100 crore, 1,000 crore of corpus at that point of time. And as a 19-year-old, you want to pitch your research work, your projects in front of them. So if you can highlight to everyone how this process work out, the campus placement industrial training job.
No, yeah, to be very honest, the campus placements was a very good experience at Finacle. So why? Because the faculty used to teach us right from the basics of an interview, like what is an HR round, what is a technical round, and what you're supposed, what the interviewer wants to hear from you, what is it that the interviewer is looking for. And
Okay.
the good part here was that we were shortlisted for the industry based on how we did in the 18 months.
Okay.
So am I a
I,
good fit for investment banking? Am I a good fit for equity research or private equity? Was something that was also guided by the faculty. And after the preparations, the mock interviews were taken to
I,
help us put.
I, I think your mock interviews were taken by me, right? In 2018.
Yes, yes, it was
Yeah.
very tough. So basically, how to portray whatever we have learned in Finbridge,
Yeah.
the faculty used to teach us, and then the mock interviews were also taken so that we are able to communicate what we have learned.
So how was your experience in industrial training? See, because in India, undergraduate level and freshers are considered as भैया इनको तो कुछ नहीं आता होगा. Correct. That's the mindset on the ground level. Correct.
Mm.
अभी रिसर्च के ऊपर करोड़ रुपीस इन्वेस्ट होता है. तो यार अभी ये 19-20 साल के बच्चे को क्या समझ में आएगा? So how was your experience when you sat in front of the recruiters? Correct. Were you able to tackle their questions? Were you able to portray your research work? Did they respect you during the interview round?
So one thing that was very, one thing which came out very common across interviews was that whenever a Finacle student used to give an interview versus a non-Finacle student used to give an interview, the interviewer would feel the difference because of the projects that we shared. So we used to
Oh,
share the projects, the Excels, the PPTs with the interviewer before we were presenting to them. So, and they, so because they've been in the industry for so long, they
right.
know that if a 19-year-old kid is able to make a report like this and explain to me in such a simple language, then definitely it's an exceptional candidate. And hence, whenever you are recruited, this increases your selection rate. And whenever you are joining them, and when you start working, it's been a month, it's been 2 months, पता चल जाता है कौन कितना पानी में है. So they respect you the way you should be.
Okay.
And one point I would like to add is why the industrial training was not like what the industrial training is otherwise is because when it converted to a full-time opportunity, my responsibilities were very similar. Only
that was my next question actually.
only the amount changed.
Lot of time in India क्या है नहीं अंडर ग्रेजुएशन साइड पे बहुत बार ऐसा होता है लॉट ऑफ स्टूडेंट्स डू इंटर्नशिप वो 2 महीने का 3 महीने का बट the work is very clerical or back end type. So what was your industrial training like? What kind of work you got to do in industrial training at such a young age?
No, so if I think it is very clear from the institute as well that you are not supposed to do the most quality work at the time you join. But with the data crunching, you will definitely get some good quality work as well. As you know, so you spend extra time to show what you can bring to the firm, and if you do that, then you'll be presenting the quality work to them. They'll be more than happy to give you a good type of work, and this is what I got, and this is what all of my batchmates.
If you just summarize the kind of variety of work you did in your 12 months of industrial training, right? Let's say right starting from data crunching. And what exactly is data crunching?
So what? So data crunching could be punching numbers from annual report, punching numbers from footnotes. It could be punching numbers for 5 competitors for the same metrics.
Okay.
And then the second level will be, what's the insight of that data. So it included data crunching as well as the analysis of that data and then presenting it. So in a nutshell, whatever I learned in Finbridge, business analysis, financial statement analysis, and valuation, I was given a leeway to apply it the way I had learned it.
Okay, fantastic.
But for the different companies.
Okay, okay. So, because you could start your career at the age of 19, correct? I think you're 25 today, correct?
Yes.
And you already have 6 years of core finance experience under your name. Broadly speaking, correct? By this time in India, people are completing their academics, holistically speaking. So, such a young start, how this has practically helped you in your career. एक करियर का सॉलिड फाउंडेशन अर्ली स्टार्ट की वजह से कैसे आपको बेनिफिट मिला?
See, the early start, the most important thing is you get to build a very good network. So, I'll give you an example. So, the companies
in a pretty simple term. Network क्या होता है, कैसे काम आता है?
Yeah. So, let's say in the first year of my corporate life, I studied a company XYZ, and I made a relation with the investor relations there. And at the time of third year or fourth year, when I'm studying a different company, and I want to get an insight for that peer, then the relationship of that the one that I made in the first year is helping. Similarly, you attend a lot of conferences, and you also have your alumni which are in other companies. They are also building their network. You are also building their network, and in the end, you are connected to each other. So then you make a very good web of network. Yeah. And the other part is that as you spend more time in any industry, you get to understand the nuances of it more. The quality of research goes up with time. And hence, at the current age, if someone is joining equity research versus, let's say, someone who has 6 to 7 years of experience, I think the learning curve will be very different. And knowledge is like money. So it compounds on the base, and it hence keeps you a step ahead of your peers.
Okay. Fair enough. I think starting early also provides you some chance of failure. You can fail and you can rebuild, correct? And still you have lost nothing.
Definitely.
Correct. Just to provide an insight, I think this is what we were discussing. We both laughed at it. In 2018, I think, when you started, right? What was your stipend at that point of time?
It was 20,000 per month.
20,000 per month. You started at the age of 19, correct? And everyone, correct? Uh,
Everyone was shocked at that time.
Sorry,
Everyone was
I can.
surprised that an internship can give you a 20,000 stipend with
And
good quality of work.
good, by the way, for all our listeners, as Mohammed said, right, the Finbridge program has evolved a lot, correct? And the recognition and the respect that the program has gotten from the industries, I thank you, Alumni is Mohammed and all, because you guys have worked so hard, made such a outstanding name for your institution. Because today, your the latest batches of Finbridge which are coming out, correct? Their stipend starts from at the age of 19, 45,000 to 60,000 a month. At the age of 19, they are not even of BBAs yet. And then they get converted to full time around 8, 9, 13 lakh per annum. Correct. That's the range. And this level has actually come because of the first, second batches, who went into the industry, did such a solid work that a lot of people started recognizing, yeah, yeah, yes, in this quality. So there we would actually like to thank you a lot at this junction.
All
One,
credits to you, sir.
thank you so much, Peter. Now, one final question on the career side, correct? So, if I summarize for everyone, ठीक है, मोहम्मद आया 12th के बाद कोडिंग में इंटरेस्ट था, गाइडेंस नहीं था, हम मिले, उसको फाइनेंस समझ में आया, वो फिनब्रिज में आया, पढ़ाई किया दिन रात, 10 hours a day, he topped the program, started as probably one of the youngest financial analysts at 19, then converted into a full-time role. आज 6 साल का एक्सपीरियंस लेके बैठा है into the industry, correct? But he has not just worked. Along with his work, correct, he also cleared all three levels of his CFA. US for everyone who is hearing the acronym for the first time, it is Chartered Financial Analyst, and also Financial Risk Management (FRM). Can both the levels, correct? So you have done Filtridge, you have done CFA, you have done FRM, correct? Broadly, finance में आपने सब कर डाला. So, all right. Uh, so talking about if a new student is confused, right? कि यार फाइनेंस में मेरे पास ये 2-3 ढंग के ऑप्शंस हैं. हर प्रोग्राम का एक यूटिलिटी होता है, एक एज होता है, हर चीज आपको एक पर्टिकुलर एज देती है, करेक्ट? फॉर यू, what was the edge that Finbridge provided you, CFA provided you, and FRM provided
So, I started my CFA and FRM when I entered the corporate life.
you? Correct.
So, I had already had the base of Finbridge. So,
Okay.
with the base of Finbridge, also had the foundations of finance.
Correct.
And then I first pursued CFA. So,
Okay.
I know that with the knowledge of Finbridge and the foundations that I've learned there,
Correct.
it will be a good kickstart for me to start CFA and then, able to, crack CFA. So that was the mindset at that time. And then I pursued CFA. After completing CFA's utility was that, it was very diverse in the sense that it ranged from financial reporting to ethics to
Okay.
derivatives,
Correct.
then uh, to quants, etc.
Correct. Even bond markets, fixed
Even
income.
even fixed income, right?
Yeah.
And what led to this is so CFA taught us how to look at the valuation ratios, how to do what is the relative valuation, what is alpha, what is
Correct.
beta, what is Sharpe ratio, how
Correct.
to do the modeling. But what
Correct.
happens is in Finbridge we were taught how to do that model, how to match the balance sheet, how to tally it. So that's where CFA used to give us a very diverse set of finance knowledge. Finbridge was helping us apply that knowledge in a
Okay.
better way, in an industry ready way.
Okay. Fair
And with
enough.
with the CFA's knowledge,
Correct.
FRM also had multiple common things there with
Okay.
a added focus on
Besides that.
risk management.
Okay.
So I could leverage my CFA education to pursue my FRM, and I could also understand how the foundation or the how the risk managers of the big
Okay.
banks or big fund managers think of. So
Okay.
that's how it is.
Okay. So if I summarize in a very simple word, correct? टेक्निकल ना हो ताकि व्यूअर्स के लिए फिनबिज का एज होगा प्रैक्टिकल नॉलेज एप्लीकेशन, करेक्ट? सीएफए का एज होगा डाइवर्स बेस ऑफ नॉलेज, करेक्ट?
Yes,
एंड ऑब्वियसली इंटरनेशनल रिकॉग्निशन. एफआरएम का पर्टिकुलर एज होगा इन द एंटायर कैपिटल मार्केट रिस्क मैनेजमेंट भी एक सब फील्ड है, करेक्ट? तो उसके अंदर डीप अगर आपको जाना हो तो एफआरएम का आता है. एम आई
correct,
राइट?
correct,
ओके,
perfect.
ठीक है, फेयर इनफ. सो नाउ the career part I think is done. Correct. The students would get a lot of benefit. Now I would like to go towards Mohammed as a investor. Okay. Again, I want your philosophy, your ideology, not the recruiters. Okay. So if I remember our earlier discussions, correct, my memory might have gone wrong, but I think till now in your 6 years of career, you must have read, broadly speaking, in depth 7 to 8 sectors. Am I right?
Yes,
And combining all the sectors, you may have analyzed 200 to 250 businesses.
correct.
So after studying 200 businesses and to understand one business, if I'm not wrong, an analyst and an associate like you generally reads around 3 to 5 years of history on a minimum level.
Correct.
Okay, so after studying so many businesses, how is your investment philosophy shaped up? Like, see, your decisions let crores of capital channelize into capital markets, correct? आपके रिसर्च, आपके आइडियोलॉजी के ऊपर करोड़ों रुपए आगे फंड मैनेजर, सीआईओस के थ्रू इन्वेस्ट होता है. सो इट्स अ वेरी रिस्पॉन्सिबल रोल. सो
Correct.
यू नीड टू हैव अ वेरी क्लियर कट इन्वेस्टमेंट फिलोसफी के मेरे लिए यहाँ पैसा लग सकता है, यहाँ पे नहीं लग सकता. सो मोहम्मद एज ए इन्वेस्टर का इन्वेस्टमेंट फिलोसफी आज क्या है और वो कैसे डेवलप हुआ है इन लास्ट 6 years? इफ यू कैन हेल्प us understand that.
Yeah. So investment philosophies can be different for each and every person, but the end
Okay.
goal of everyone will be very similar. But you have to make money
Okay.
for you
Okay.
and your clients. So
Okay.
the investment philosophy that I have developed over a period of years is 4G.
Okay. 4G.
4G.
So that's Mohammed PM trademark.
So the 4G is good business,
Okay.
good management, good
Okay.
valuation, and good allocation. And it is
Okay.
in that order. So
In that
if
order.
in that order,
Okay.
so if it is not a good business, and if it is a good management, that then there could be less value added by that management.
Okay.
And
Okay.
now I'll help you understand each one of them
Huh.
very
So this
subtly.
was a very interesting line. If the business is not good, you don't care about good management.
Correct.
Correct? Okay. So take us deep into all the four verticals of your investment philosophy.
Yeah. So starting with the good
Correct.
business can have multiple aspects like what you have learned in Finbridge, what you've learned in CFA as to how to analyze
Okay.
the business, right? The business analysis part, the financial
Correct.
statement analysis part. This is where
Correct.
this comes into picture.
Uh,
What So it could be industry structure, moat, leadership position,
okay.
how's the company placed
Okay.
versus the peers. But in the end,
Okay.
how you summarize it is whether the business has been able to generate the return on capital more than cost of capital in the past or in the future.
Okay. Okay.
If this
Why,
is
why it is so important to have a return on capital more than cost of capital? We know it just for everyone.
so
Understand.
if you are not making, let's say, 13-14% a year for, let's say, on 10 years on an average,
Okay.
Nifty has been doing it and 12-13% a year on an
Okay.
average, then
Okay.
what's the value you are adding to the investor's money?
Okay.
And
Okay.
hence, if you're not able to generate it more than the cost of capital, then
Huh.
something is not right, which you will
Okay.
definitely understand when you apply whatever you have learned.
Okay. Okay. ठीक है.
So if it's okay if it's not in the past, but is it changing in the future? Is the rate of
Okay.
change positive?
Okay. So the first sign of a good business will be a return on capital greater than cost of capital,
Correct.
whether consistently or this should happen in future.
Correct.
Okay, okay.
Second is good management. So the one who's running the show is
A-
equally
any more
important.
sign of any more sign of a good business first?
So whatever you will be applying, the multiple things,
Yeah.
everything will be summarized by this return on capital, return on cost of capital. This is to be supported by growth.
Huh. Okay, so growth is an add-on factor.
Growth is the second most important thing.
Okay, so as per your philosophy, even if a business has a 50% return on capital employed or return on capital ROIC, whatever you may call it, a return on equity, correct? But the business is struggling in a single digit growth rate. That doesn't qualify for you as a good business.
It has to be seen with respect to the valuations. But
Okay,
yes, we will definitely prioritize a company who should at least be growing more than the GDP.
okay, at least more than a GDP. Okay, fair enough. All right. So good business has two angles. पैसा बनाना चाहिए और grow करना चाहिए.
Grow currency.
ठीक है. Let's move toward the second part of your
Yeah.
investment philosophy.
So the good management, again, multiple aspects. That is not the core idea of why we're doing this podcast, and hence I will not spend a lot of time on that. So it could be
Because
his.
there can be an entire book written on good package.
Correct. So
Yes.
multiple aspects: the history, their foundation, their experience, the capital allocation, the related party transactions,
Yes.
the compensation. But then, in
Yes.
the end, what you're trying to understand is that how the management has been able to grow the company in the past, how it has
Okay.
done, how it has operated the company in tough times, and how
Okay.
their position versus their peers. Are they sustaining their market share, increasing their market share? Are they able to
Oh,
adapt to the new adjacencies that are coming
um,
to them?
okay.
This is what we are looking for in a good
ये बहुत
management.
unique point था. Are they able to adapt to new adjacencies? Because बहुत बार I think managements अपने old achievements के ऊपर ही stick रहते. They don't adapt with changing environment. All right, ठीक है. Good points. Yes. Any further on good
Correct.
management? Yeah. Anything further on good management?
So I'll move to the third good. So there is the third
Yeah.
good is good evaluation. So
Okay.
anything is, if it is, if an ambassador is valued like a Ferrari, like one of
Yeah.
my mentors says, then you're not supposed to buy. So
Okay.
the ROC and the growth that we
ये
discussed earlier,
ये बड़ा interesting quote लगा. If an ambassador is valued like a Ferrari,
Yeah.
you not buy it.
Yeah.
Okay, but vice versa is not true, right? A
No.
Ferrari will rarely come at the triumphal ambassador.
Correct.
So how do you deal with this conundrum of, because आपको तो चाहिए Ferrari, good business, correct? So after valuations कैसे judge करते हैं your investment philosophy of valuations?
It is very much connected to what we discussed, ROCE and growth. So
Okay,
a particular range of ROCE and a particular range of growth, if you
okay,
build that metrics,
okay,
a certain range of ROC and a certain range of growth deserves a P multiple.
okay,
Okay.
okay,
There is a particular combination which that company deserves, and you
okay.
couple that
So
with
you have
relative valuation.
so you have your own template in which you
Correct.
walk around कि क्या आरओसी ये कंपनी का क्या ग्रोथ है तो उसको क्या वैल्यूएशन मल्टीपल मिलना चाहिए
Correct.
लाइक ईवी
What
एबिटा
should be the fundamental? What should be the fundamental P that the company should get?
ओके ठीक है एंड देन यू डू व्हाट
And then you also respect the relative valuations.
ओके in terms of if you can slightly explain that
So
part.
the relative valuations of how the peers are being valued by the market. You
Okay,
also try to
okay,
understand why market is valuing a company the way it is versus what your system is saying. And
okay,
then you try to understand what the actual fundamental PE could be, because you have to change it
okay.
based on
If you
how the
can
market is.
instance के साथ अगर if you can help us understand.
So if a fundamental PE says, 2025 is something that is deserved by this company,
Okay.
And
ठीक है.
let's say you see that the market is valuing it, this company, like more than that.
Okay.
You dig deeper, and then you understand that the longevity of growth is very high in this. So
Okay.
in
That
the
you
end,
might have count on in your analysis.
correct, correct.
Okay.
So you, maybe I missed the longevity part of it, and maybe that's how I need to adjust the fundamental P to
Okay.
reflect that,
Okay.
to get to the fair
So,
value.
so how do you derive that this confidence? Because your fundamental valuation and the market valuation will always be different. So how do you decide, okay, no, this time I am correct, market valuation doesn't make sense? What
So,
is your framework around that?
they are different. Otherwise, everything would be valued fairly. So
Correct.
what, there is time value of money, and then there is the company which is going into a phase, right? And
Okay.
market only rewards when it sees the numbers. So
Okay.
then it is your ability to, if you are able to forecast it properly in a direction. Forecasting is not about forecasting to the next decimal. It is about,
Okay.
do you get the direction right? So
Okay.
if you get
Okay.
the forecasting direction right,
Okay.
on an average, the fair value should be around that metrics, and you should be rewarded.
Okay. By debt metrics, you mean the ROC and growth metrics.
Roshi and Grow, which you can find in research papers of Michael Mauboussin.
Okay. Yeah. And I think there's also a paper by Epoch Partners, EPOCH, correct? Which has also written around this. Right. Okay. And then what about the fourth pillar of 4G, good allocation?
So the last one is good allocation.
Yeah.
So good allocation is primarily based on risk reward.
Okay.
So you respect the absolute downside. So
Okay.
you would not like to have a maximum downside of more than 20-30%.
If you can explain it in a simple manner, what is downside, what is reward, what is risk, what's the ratio?
So if let's say you studied a company, you did
Yeah.
you did the analysis, you carried out the valuation, you are building the three scenarios, the bull
Correct.
scenario, the base scenario, the bear scenario. In
Okay.
the bear scenario, if everything goes wrong,
Uh,
what is the downside that you are looking at? Let's say could be 20%,
the loss. Okay.
the
If we
loss.
buy something at 100,
Correct.
if things go wrong, the business might quote at a price of 80. So
Correct.
that's down.
Correct. Or the earnings don't turn out as expected.
Okay.
Then you multiply it with multiply it with the PE, then you get a lower price.
Lower price. Okay. So that's downside.
That's downside.
Okay.
The upside could be a base case.
Correct.
So
Correct.
you see what's the difference between your base case and the bear case. So if the base case is a 30% return and the downside is minus 30%, it's like
Correct.
one to one risk to reward.
Okay.
So you would
ये अगर बना तो 1 रुपीज का 1.3 बनेगा, गया तो 1 रुपए का 70 पैसा हो जाएगा.
correct,
Right? So that is not attractive then.
correct,
So ये तो probability हो गया, odds हो गया.
correct,
Correct? So
correct.
what type of odds do you play?
It could be minus 30 plus 50. It could be minus 20 plus 40 plus 60. Better than 1:1. Definitely, reward should be better than the risk in that
So
sense.
if you have some benchmark, some cutoff, 2:1,
It,
3:1. No.
there's no cutoff, but broadly it should be a favorable risk to reward.
Okay. ठीक है. And you said something in between that absolute risk को भी ध्यान रखना पड़ता है. What was that part?
Because if you look at a stock which has a 90% downside and has a 3x upside, I am not ready to take a 90% downside. So
Okay.
my ability to take a risk would be minus 30%.
Okay. So downside का भी cutoff होना चाहिए. It's not
Correct.
just about the only reward to
हाँ,
risk.
correct. Otherwise तो then वो minus 90 और 300% वाला तो आपको सबसे attractive लगेगा. But you don't go and allocate your portfolio maximum position to that.
Okay.
That's not
So
how
let's
it is.
imagine you have 5 good ideas in front of you. Correct? 2 ideas you rejected because the risk reward was only 1:1. Correct? Then on the remaining 3, suppose risk reward to risk is favorable. 2:1, 2.5:1, 1.5:1. Then how would you allocate your capital?
See,
Uh,
the maximum weightage
yeah.
will go towards the position where I have my maximum understanding
Okay.
and the risk reward being favorable.
Okay.
And then broadly, see, it's not like two decimal maths. It's also
Correct.
about, judgment that you make, which keeps on evolving over the period of your investing journey.
Correct.
So there cannot be a hard rule, but broadly, it would be the highest risk to reward would be your high top five positions. And
Okay.
then the descending order of risk reward broadly should be the tail positions.
Okay. But again, in whatever may be the position, absolute level of risk has to be taken in mind, right?
Correct. Correct.
Okay. No. I think this approach, I think you might respect Nassim Taleb a lot. I think this absolute risk approach came from Nassim Taleb. So, मतलब, how did you develop your this approach? कि absolute downside को भी देखना चाहिए.
No, this is because of my ability to take risk. I don't want to see uh, a stock where it's greater than minus 30%. I don't want to put my hands there.
Okay.
It's
So
about
that
my
depends
personal
on
risk taking ability.
personal risk ability. All right. ठीक है. All right. One follow-up question on your investment philosophy.
I am yet to conclude.
Oh, sorry.
So, on the allocation part. So, this is the
Yeah.
first part. And the second
Okay.
part is what is the sector mix of your portfolio?
Okay.
What is the theme or style allocation of your portfolio? So, is it
Okay.
more growth? Is it more value?
Okay.
And then you also have what's the P ratio of your portfolio versus what's the P ratio of the index?
Okay. Overall portfolio.
Yes.
Okay. So how do you do that? Weighted average basis?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay. So you also take care of allocation in terms of overall exposure to a single theme,
Correct.
be it value, growth, or some sector.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Okay. So that's the 4G.
Correct. Theme could be India. Let's say if a stock is fitting in India's consumption story, it could be a
Okay.
theme. There could be
Oh,
a theme which is financialization increasing in India. That
okay.
could be a
Correct.
theme. China plus
Correct.
one, let's say it could
Can
be a
be.
theme. Can be a theme.
So you cap your allocation based on that also.
No, so
Any particular logic of capping an allocation?
it's not more about capping. It's more about knowing my portfolio better.
Okay. Okay. Fair enough. So just one question, like you mentioned earlier, the most challenging part of a equity research analyst and associate is there are 5,000 listed company itself. किसको पढ़े कौन सी पढ़े, correct? Because अपन analyst investor है, correct? अपने को सही time पे सही business पढ़ना बहुत important है. So if you can just highlight that part of your investment philosophy also, okay, how do you select businesses to study further? But what is your rejection filters?
So what we discussed in the good business,
Yeah.
if you follow that, you automatically thousands of companies will get rejected out of those 5,000 listed.
Okay. So sticking to your investment philosophy itself becomes the rejection filter.
And plus one more thing is you focus on studying those companies where there is a rate of change or
Uh-huh.
where there you could build some sort of a non-consensus understanding. Let's say if the consensus is saying the company should grow at 15%, and if
Uh,
you could build some understanding that no, this company should grow at, let's say, 25%, that
uh,
is where you will like to focus your time on studying those companies where you can gain a non-consensus understanding, or you can see that there is a rate of change that should happen. Let's say a company which has a B2C
uh,
share of 1%, and that share can go to 40%. If
okay.
market might not be believing that, and hence it would not be valuing it the way it should be, but if that happens, then what would be the value of the company? Because the rate of
Okay.
change could be significant. The financial statements will change materially if the B2C share goes from 1% to 40%.
Okay. Okay. All right. Okay, fair enough. Thank you, Beta. One one more question on your investment method side, correct? Uh if you're comfortable discussing, I would like to know one major investment call which has gone right for you, and one major investment call that has gone wrong for you, and what you have learned out of both the instances.
Hmm. ठीक है. So
And I'm talking about you. I'm not talking about the recruiters, your firm, about you, individual portfolios.
I remember investing in one wood panel company, so which got demerged
Okay.
from its parent company,
Okay.
and the stock price was falling uh, like a rock. And because the institutional investors usually sell because of the regulatory reasons of the classification of market caps, they
Okay.
sell the stock, and usually you get some bargain
Uh,
opportunities in the demergers.
okay.
It
Okay.
was some time back, so the
Okay.
opportunities would have reduced now. And
Okay.
that company was available at a replacement value, and it was at the market down cycle. It has
Okay.
just done a capex, and the
Okay.
costs of those capex were reflecting in the PNL, but the revenues were yet to come.
Okay.
And hence, I think it made me a very good fortune. And I learned the value of timing in business is very important to make good
Okay.
returns.
Okay. So this is against the accepted approach that people that timing is not important. You believe timing is important.
It is very important.
Okay. This is excellent. First of all, if someone is accepting timing is important, and your one mistake and what you learned out of it.
So this is a cap goods company which came out of
Okay. Okay.
capital goods company.
Okay.
Capital goods company which came out of RBI stress framework. This was
Okay.
bought by a very famous, very reputed, very well done corporate group.
Okay.
This turned out to be 100x plus. The
100
mistake,
bang.
100 plus back.
Okay.
The
In how
mis-
many years?
in 3 years, 2 to 3 years.
3 years. So from a 10 rupee to a 1,000 rupee
Yes.
stock, basically, if you're
Yes.
talking about market cap, 10 crore,
Yes.
1,000 crore.
Yes. Yes. It was
Okay.
3 to 4 rupees at the time they bought it, and the stock could
Okay.
be like 4 digit.
Okay. Okay.
So the mistake that I made was I got out early, and I
You got
could
out early. So
got
you
out early.
detected unfortunately, but you sold early.
I sold early, and I could not imagine the bullest of the bullest scenarios.
Okay. So what was your learning out of this?
So I learned that you also respect technical analysis for the entry and exit for your
Okay.
personal portfolio.
Okay. Okay. All right. Fair enough. So all right, Mohammed. Now I would just try to conclude the podcast. Just three very simple questions, correct? So it will help the student community a lot, right? In the end. So first, very simple question. If today someone who is in, let's say, class 11, 12, or an undergraduate level student, or anyone, a working professional who wants to enter into finance, correct? What things they should focus on so that they can get a good opportunity to work in the industry? Because this industry is very brutal. It's very difficult only to crack. So what they need to work on. Second is, if I put this in question in a different way, if you are hiring someone today, what characteristics you would like to see in them that would impress you, and you would might like to make them an offer.
So you have to work on both the technical skills and the soft skills. Soft skills
Okay.
would be you should have an extraordinary communication skills, and the
Okay.
technical skills could be how you connect narratives to numbers, how to connect macro to the micro, have an open-ended dynamic mindset where you discuss with people, you're open to criticism, and you do
Okay.
extensive reading of what's going on in the world, and you
Okay.
try to understand what implications this could have to the Indian economy, to a particular
Oh,
sector, to a particular company.
okay.
And also taking interest in, let's say, if there is a SIP going on in your family. So
Okay.
you take a look at the SIP, in which fund this is happening, what are the
Oh,
holdings of this fund, or
okay.
it could be an investment of a friend's father's in a PMS or a AIF.
Okay.
So you could relate whatever you have learned to the real world, and
Okay.
hence that should make you better and better and
Okay.
different as compared to us.
Okay. So the core summaries, they have to read a lot and they need to apply what they are reading.
Yes.
Without that, it's not possible to work with you.
You know.
No. Okay. Uh, just second last question. I like to ask this to everyone who I respect. One life changing advice that you have got in your life till date, and that has caused a very big material change in who you are today, and you would like everyone to know that.
So I'm also trying to learn all of this. But
Yeah.
so there are multiple things, but some important ones are, so this is one from one of my mentor, is you should
Yeah.
learn the art of storytelling,
Okay.
because in the end everyone is a storyteller in a different role.
Okay.
So the art of storytelling will take you places.
Okay.
And the way you look at your time, the way you manage your time, the art of time management and decision making is something that I think is very, very important and sometimes gets overlooked when you are, doing the same thing again and again.
Correct.
There's always a scope of improvement there. And lastly, there is an ocean of information there. So you
Okay.
should learn how to filter out which information deserves your time.
Okay.
And
Okay.
that's
Yeah.
how you could make the most of it.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Just as a closure, yeah, you have built a good network, as you said, correct? What are some of your batchmates doing today? I will talk to every one of them one by one. But what's your entire circle of Fitness 17 are doing today?
It's a lot, it's a long list. So I'll just name two or three of them.
Yeah.
So one of my batchmates, Poonam Chindalia,
Okay.
has started
Okay.
her own investment advisory firm named Credible Capital.
Okay.
She is
Uh,
operating it from Surat.
okay.
One of my batchmate, Kumanika Chhajar, she is an analyst
Okay.
at a PMS.
Okay.
And one of my batchmate, Radhika Sundarka, she started
Okay.
her own company, Zebra Learn, and
Okay.
which also came on Shark Tank.
Okay. Yes. Yes. They got funded
Yeah,
by Ritesh Ji of Oyo.
correct, correct.
Right. Correct. All right. I think, Mohammed, that was an excellent session. I hope every one of you would have got detailed insight on how to build a career in equity research and some nitty-gritties about processes of Finbridge program and CFA program and FRM, correct? And the investing community would have definitely come to know the investment process of Mohammed. Thank you everyone for watching the session, and thank you so much, Mohammed, for taking out so much of time for everyone's benefit. It means a lot. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.